Hey everybody, Andrew Reynolds with FindYourFuels.com here to answer one more of your questions today and bring you another concept that's going to be of help to you. And there wasn't a best way to phrase the question, but the general idea was pulling my team together. How do I pull my team together? And actually I've been through something recently that was a very practical example. I actually volunteered as an announcer, believe it or not, for a local water ski volunteer team. And one of the fascinating things is they were pulling people together. You'd talk to the people who are doing it, and there is an actual phenomenon that when you're being pulled by the same boat, one of the biggest things you have to do is not bump into the guy next to you. Because you're both holding on to a rope attached to the same point, naturally as you're going forward in the water, everything's kind of pushing you in. But conversely, let's say we just take those two people and put them in inner tubes on either side of the river. Now, of course, we'd have to throw them a river, and the amount of force that they'd have to exert just to come near each other, of course, would be exhausting. But if they're being pulled by the same thing, they would actually have to exert force to get away from each other. And that, in and of itself, is the simple concept I want us to keep in mind as leaders if we're really tasked with bringing our team together. Now, you can probably easily think of a lot of the different systems you use to create that oneness, to build that team spirit. And honestly, if you were to ask yourself, which of these am I doing? Am I asking them to pull themselves together? Or am I creating something that they can be drawn towards that will naturally bring them closer? And unfortunately, a lot of the methods, the more controllable methods of kind of carrot and stick, or just basic incentives, or just sometimes sheer intimidation, even the best of us fall prey to it once in a while. Usually we are spending more of our energy on the pushing people together instead of letting them be pulled by something that they're both shared and going towards. So let's think of some tactical goals, and let's think of some practical goals that you can bring people together by finding a shared interest within them. Now, on the tactical, of course, there are things like meeting certain sales quotas or meeting certain profitability, certain efficiencies, and those are all truly options, but here's the main distinguishing factor. Is it their goal? Because if it's your goal, that's nice, I get it, I'm an employee, you're kind of the team leader, I get that we're supposed to kind of be doing what you're wanting, but the amount of professionalism and hard work and self-discipline that they have to exert just to motivate themselves, albeit well and good, and congrats to them for doing it, but you have to know that's taking away very valuable initiative and energy just to get themselves to the goal and not to really forward the goal. So that's going to mean a lot of extra work on your part to keep them motivated. Now, if you really think of it in those terms, it might get you off to a slower start in your own mind, but to actually almost survey them and to find out what of the goals that you have to produce upon, and of course there are always more goals that you have than you'll actually produce upon, which of those goals are something that they're personally interested in, or at least the majority of them. Because the more you can have a genuine groundswell of enthusiasm in those goals, the less work you're going to have to do. And honestly, like with that water skiing example, they're going to have to exert energy to not be a team, to not have that shared interest, that shared payoff of overcoming obstacles, that shared buzz from creativity, of bringing something into this earth, of making something there that wasn't there before. Everybody gets at least a little bit of a charge out of that. But even to really kind of solidify it home to yourself, think of some practical goals. Now, of course, when I'm recording this, it's the winter, it's not by any means football season, but by and large, whenever it's football time, anyone who is a shared fan of the same team, they're finding themselves around each other. Whenever a game is coming up or a game just happened, they're finding each other in the hallways in the offices to talk about it. Now, of course, it's not work-related, and the temptation would be to kind of dismiss the whole thing and say, hey, we have to get back to work, but look at the power there. You physically would have to separate them because they naturally want to come together because they both want to see the same outcome. They want to see their team win and the opposing team lose. And it's more on the practical side, but it is important to keep in mind that sometimes the goals that are handed down to you to see in your people are not the most exciting. They're not naturally going to get people like, yeah, let's cut our own hours by working hard, but there's still the practicals. Maybe it's going home early. You ever had a project where your boss told you that if you get done early, you all can go home? That place was electric, at least for the vast majority of people. Or is it about the work culture? Are there cultural goals that people are naturally magnetized towards? And basically it's a little bit of leadership jujitsu. Where are they already wanting to head? Know that. And what of those things are most closely aligned to the business goals that I've been tasked to complete? Start with those. Build upon that momentum, because once momentum is already built, you can kind of slide in some things that maybe aren't the most exciting, but the team's already kind of in a mood. Let's get something done. All right, what next? What next? And really basing your leadership, or at least utilizing the naturally occurring energy that comes from people's natural momentum, will help you not only capture your goals, but it'll help bring the team together. So once again, if you clicked on this video because you wanted to pull your team together, try to find out what's already pulling them. Are there tactical goals that catch their interest? Are there practical things that catch their interest? Especially if you're starting from pretty much no motion, try to get that car turning. Try to get those wheels going. A car's easier to turn once it's in motion. Find out what the group's already interested in, align some work goals around it, and just watch and be amazed at how much easier your job gets. So of course, as always, hope this was a help. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Subscribe, we always appreciate that. Hope this has been a help to you and worth your time. We'll see you soon.